That's pretty loud. Hello, everyone. I'm dealing with this right now, and this game that we're about to play has an incredibly unique and interesting intro. So I'm gonna let that intro run while I have this thing maul my hand. So yeah, this is Vagrant Story, one of my favorite games ever. I am being consumed. HD-ish? Getting distracted by the lights. Okay, so a lot of people. That's the intro. That's the FMV at the start of Vagrant Story. Not everyone realizes or knows that if you just stay here on the starting screen, you get a lot more. It just takes a second. So we're gonna sit here and let the game roll through the actual introduction. Because there's interesting perspectives and information that you don't get if you never see this. It's not crazy stuff. It's not spoilery or anything like that. But here we go. In them, please, now. You gotta get bigger. We gotta give you a flea bath. It's pretty ferocious. No hand time. Yeah. I mean, the textures look good, compared to original Vagrant Story. Absolutely, the textures look pretty good. I think we're on 13 times upscaling right now. I've noticed some obvious issues. I've noodled around with some things to try to mitigate some of the issues, but obviously we are going to run into some stuff here or there, so we'll see. But mostly, I'm just here to play the game, because this is a game I used to love enough to put ink to skin. Actually need to... Alright, the baby has run away from me. So I can focus on what's going on more. You have no control over this dialogue. This is all auto, so I might try to read. I'm probably not going to do voices, but I might try to read things as we go through for people who want to hear what's going on but aren't paying the most attention. But this is pretty quick, pretty clipped conversation. You know nothing about this game aside from the names of the main characters and the fact that there's a workshop and a risk system. That's a lot to know right there. Honestly, that is a great amount of knowledge coming into this game. Also that Ashley apparently wears chaps the whole time. Assless chaps. Potentially assless chaps. Yes. And he has gravity-defying hair. Ashley, well, okay, so Ashley Wright is a badass. We are about to be, right here, is about to be one of the most badass statements I've seen in a video game. To the point to where I've seen it actually, like, quoted in other things. And who knows, they might have put it in this game, quoted from elsewhere, but I don't know. God, if this game had a remake and there was like real HD graphics, like modern day 3D modeling. They already do a pretty good job of the characters being pretty fucking expressive for reinforcements. I am the reinforcements. Voice acting? Yeah, absolutely. The raid message! That's my raid message. That's how much I love this game. That's my raid message. Reinforcements? I am the reinforcements. Yeah, it's an absolutely badass game. So that is the section. Also, how is the audio? Because I got forced to update Streamlabs, and so I had to finagle with the audio again, which was annoying. It's very loud. Okay. Let me mess with that real quick. What? Okay. Something like this. Am I very loud? I feel like I am very loud. That's a loud part of that FMV is always loud. So I want to avoid bumping things down too much, but bump it down to like here. I sound good? That's wild to me. I feel like I should be blowing out right now. Yeah, that's the thing. So the game is generally, well, it's mostly atmospheric music. It has some great set pieces. It's very ambient, yes. But that FMV tends to be extremely loud. So what we just watched with the whole, VKP, Parliament Council, Ashley, that's all the kind of like secret info that you can get. If you let it play again, like we're doing now, this part is actually the introduction when you hit new game. So we're not going to go through that twice. It does it in a very like cinematic way, and it has an interesting little outro, right? But we're just gonna go ahead and pop in at this point. I would love to get started. There's a sound option. Oh, it's just stereo and mommy. Okay, whatever. Let's just hit. Let's just start. I'm gonna be taking my time with this game. If I sound too loud once we're in game, you'll mention it. Okay, cool. So I'm going to be taking my time with this game. It's not an especially long game. You can actually, if you know what you're doing, you can run this game in 4 or 5 hours pretty easily. 10 hours, absolutely. Even not being on New Game Plus. But like a completionist playthrough, knowing what I'm doing as a new player, though, no, not generally. There are guides for like new player starter runs. That if you follow the guides, you can get through the game pretty quick. So the game doesn't have to be a long game, but there is a lot of exploration and additional content, and you can grind and kind of like grind stuff. So we do actually have control now. This is the screen, Jay. This is the screen that I was testing on. If you see the wobble on that column, who is this? Harden. So this on the left is Guildenstern, and the guy on the right is a random throwaway guy. So Harden we will see here in a little bit. I will point him out. So Guildenstern being one of the main antagonists of the game, like making your arsenal of weapons for any situation. Yeah. So there's a lot. If you know what you're doing, you can speed run the game very easily, 10 hours, no problem. If you don't know what you're doing, but you're trying to progress consistently, the game will probably take you like 20, 30 hours. If you're really like exploring and grinding things out and playing around with it, I'm gonna change that here in a second when we get to the other thing. I was gonna point it out, but you beat me to it. I have the other one saved and prepped and ready to move over. Yeah, it can be like 40, 50 hours for like a completionist run. We will probably be closer to that 40 or 50 hours type scenario. Sorry for ruining my setup. It's fine. But I plan on talking a lot and explaining mechanics, and I also plan on not using a guide. I used to know this game like the back of my hand, so I know a lot of the inner workings, but it's been 8-ish years since I last played, and the last time I played, it was only like the first 2 hours of the game. Right, because I did it for a race. So I probably haven't actually played the game in like 10 years. And I used to play it, I've played the game probably like 12 times in totality. Evolve or die! It's great. So, I'm going to try to do as much as I can from memory. There are a couple of places, special shout out to the Snowfly Forest, that we might pull open a map or just to not have to deal with the eternity of that. But depending on how I feel when we get there, I might also be like, no, I want to try to give it the old college try myself type scenario. But as for most bosses and exploration and things like that, I'm going to try to rely on my memory and my understanding of the game's mechanics, and I plan on talking a lot about things, and etc. So. 20 minutes into the forest and the map's coming out, probably. So we're gonna go, my plan is we're gonna go through this little intro section. This portion is what you can see if you keep waiting on the starting screen. It'll go through a lot of this, but you'll miss dialogue bits here or there. And since we're gonna get all of it again, because we're starting a new game, there's no real purpose other than the cinematic shots and the cuts and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. It's neat to see. And the whole Godspeed and good luck ending to that little like commercial is kind of cool. That little trailer is kind of cool. So I do recommend people go look it up. The intro is pretty fun, and once you play the game and you go back through that intro, you kind of like pick out snippets and interesting like, oh, I see what's going on here kind of like moments. So it's kind of cool. For now, we're going to keep going. I'm going to keep playing until we get into the actual game. This is all still introduction. When we get into the actual game, into the wine cellar, the intro to what? Sorry, just came in and heard something interesting. The intro to this game, right? So this is Vagrant Story. We're going to be playing Vagrant Story, new game for the stream channel, who dis. But it has a very unique scenario of if you start up, or if you're on the main menu and you don't do anything, it'll cycle through some interesting like introductory trailers that give you tidbits of information, and it's kind of cool. Gonna be interesting if I still have my chain timing after all these years. Probably not. I was honestly never that great at chaining. Like, the chaining in this game is, in my opinion, a lot harder than something like Legends of Dragoon or something like that. Because the lack of like a reticle, like a closing timer or something like that, really makes this much more by feel. Or if you have really quick reflexes, you can respond to the audio cue and the exclamation mark. But I don't have as quick reflexes as is necessary for that. So, let's go through, and then once we get into the wine cellar, I'll talk about a lot of stuff like what we did, or what we're doing HD-wise, etc., etc. Have you found Sydney? Not yet, sir. I'm not going to do voices, because I don't, like, for me, the scenario with this game is a lot of people, this is kind of a cult classic, and a lot of people are going to have their own thoughts and opinions on what those voices should be. So I'm going to read the dialogue so that people who aren't paying as close attention can still hear what's going on, but I'm not going to do voices, because I don't want to try to, like, match or overwrite people's mental cannons there. Put out the fires, or we'll lose the manor, and all will be for naught. Split the knights into two groups, one to douse the blaze, the other to exterminate the traitors. Right away, sir. Guildenstern, you fuck! Where are you, Sydney? Art director, Hiroshi Minagawa. There are some pretty big names involved in Vagrant Story. God, this game has such a cinematic vibe, especially in the opening and in a couple of places elsewhere. But like the opening to this game, they did such a great job for this being a PlayStation era. And these aren't movies, right? This is all in-engine in the game. They just designed it from a very cinematic, approach. That shot of the fucking portcullis slamming down as Sydney looks back is so fucking... It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so this is Hardin on the steps. This is going to be a reoccurring character. Important guy. Show them who they're dealing with. Torch the chambers and kill the hostages. Aye. Hardin. At some points you're very mean, and at other points you're very not. We've no time. Let's finish this before the blades arrive. Right. Let's do it quick and get out of here. Oh! You blundering fool! Ashley! I mean, how could he have known that was there? That's not his fault. Alright, we gotta kill these guys. So this is kind of like, this is such an interesting scenario because, here we go. Because the game hasn't actually started, but it does give you this little tidbit taste of combat. I'm not going to explain things right now. We'll get into things when we actually do the stuff at the wine cellar. I'm just going to kill these guys. There's so much to explain. Honestly, I think a lot of people... I think this game would have been a bigger game if it wasn't so goddamn complex and unforgiving to new people who don't want to figure it out or look up the stuff to figure it out. Because it's just so... It really... You can get through it just by brute forcing it. But there are a couple of instances in this game that are just like, game killers for people when they don't know what's going on and they get kind of fucked. Especially with how old it is, and people, like, right when emulation kind of got it started, and I'll talk more about this later. Let's get through this intro. Well, have you found it? It's no use. There's nothing like that here anywhere. Keep looking, damn you. I'm telling you, Sydney. The nights are nearly upon us. Stop your whimpering. I'm falling into voices anyways. Or at least cadences. You'd come this far only to leave empty-handed. Now search. Oh yeah, I can completely understand someone like not having the want to figure things out. Like running up against something, like running up against their first dragon and getting like one shot and then being like, well, I'm out. You know, like, fuck it, I'm done. Curse the Duke. Where's he hidden it? Also, I will take a brief moment. You sure the Duke really has it? Does this damn thing even exist? Oh, Sydney. I remember a couple weeks ago, JRPG Party asking who would we cosplay out. I think it was JRPG Party. Actually, I don't think it was JRPG Party. That might have been someone else. Someone asking Jay and I questions. And one of them was like, if you could cosplay as anyone, who would it be? And I said Ashley from Wild Arms too. Because, you know, I think that's a cool one. And kind of like out there. But really, it'd be Sydney. Like, if I could just like morph my body to clone myself to be able to cosplay Sydney, abso-fucking-lutely. Sydney's badass. Woods, thank you very much for the Prime sub. 54 months, 17-month streak. Hell yeah. That's a lot of kitty treats. You doubt me, Harden? You doubt my power? Forgive me. I did not intend. But Sydney, any longer and there will be no escape for us. Fine then. Bring the boy and come with me. This is one of the notable things. And I'll talk more about this when we actually talk about the graphics, but you can see the little like blue triangle on his cheek and like the jerky bob of the movements. So many tap taps. There is a cat. There is a cat up here on my shelf. I promise you I am petting him. I promise you I'm petting him. Don't move, Sydney. Yeah, a little bit of the PS wobble. I have a bowgun aimed at your heart. Now turn round slowly. You're no knight, are you? Bind your legs with that rope. Ah, a risk breaker. A royal guard dog. Dad space. That's pretty good. Did you not hear me? Bind yourself. Now. I love how he levels it. You hear that little... This is an unfortunate turn of events. Hold it. Well, that's it. Game done. Ashley kills Sydney right there. And that is the end of the game. Quick, clean, and very realistic. That's how it goes. I will say, again, the game does these scenarios where you don't get to control the dialogue. And it is now in one of those scenarios again, so... Ashley doesn't have to deal with mental trauma. Harden, go quickly. Go. Leamonde. We'll talk about pronunciations as well. You remember trying to play this back in the day and still have it, and you still have it, I think? Of course, you'd love to actually check. Well, You'd have to actually check, not love to actually check. My reading comprehension, not strong today. I'm actually very tired. I did a lot of yard work today. I'm pretty fucking worn out. What's going on? You were most certainly dead. Leave the back from the grave stuff to the fairy tales. Fucks have run out today. That's very fair. Ugh, that's a lot of blood. You've given me quite a scratch. I love... God, this game would be so good. Done with, like, good, like, mocap and voice acting and shit. It'd be stupidly phenomenal. Show a little more respect for fairy tales, Riskbreaker. It's your boy! I love this, where you see momentarily through the vision of the enemy. This game does this a couple times, and it's really fucking cool. There he be! How's my dragon damage? Fuck off. My apologies. I have no time to toy with you. Ah, such a cool moment. And out we go. Also, welcome in, snapperfish. Fish. Alright, calm down to talk. You're gonna take like two swings to the head. Please don't breathe on me. Run. Yeah, it's head time. I think we can get that neck. Get that neck, baby! Oh, jeez. Alright, there we go. I was wrong. Underestimation on damage. Game goes from being so loud to so quiet. You really can't build Risk at all in the beginning? No. Well, I mean, in this portion of the beginning, you get battle abilities very early. We might not get battle abilities very early because I plan on talking a lot here in a little bit. But we'll see. I will say the HD makes the buildings look very wild. In the original CRT-ish scenario, everything's much grainier and glossier, so the buildings look more realistic in that such situation. The birds. I love if you freeze frame those. They're just like two PNGs back and forth. The CRTs at the time hit a lot of crimes. They did. They absolutely did. Vagrant Story. Good intro. Good intro. It puts you a little bit in the action, gets things really kind of like mucky around. It's a very like in media res intro. The body is but a vessel for the soul, a puppet which bends to the soul's tyranny. And lo, the body is not eternal, for it must feed on the flesh of others, lest it return to the dust whence it came. Therefore must the soul deceive, despise, and murder men. A.J. Durai. That is the same Durai from Final Fantasy Tactics. So how is this HD-ish? Basically, we just are upscaling 13% with a couple things. I plan to go over the settings here in a second when we get to the wine cellar. Who's that? If people are not aware, AJ Durai is the historian that basically narrates Final Fantasy Tactics. So, if you're interested in what we're doing as far as graphics go, I plan to do that once we get control in the wine cellar. I'm gonna go show basically what we're doing to kind of like upscale things. It's not crazy. It's not complicated. I'm not using any like texture packs, mostly because a lot of those are behind paywalls and stuff like that. So, Eraslam, yeah, don't full name that man here. What's wrong with you? So, the knights who came were not the king's men, but the cardinals. Knights of the Cross, led by Guildenstern, my lord. Eraslam is basically the narrator. Yeah. The Crimson Blades, in direct service to the cardinal. Duke Bardorba's secondary residence in the Greylands at 5:38 a.m. I love that the time is actually like pointed out. You don't have to worry about time in this game, really. But the sequence of events, in theory, happen over an incredibly short amount of time. Guildenstern led his men towards Leamonde in pursuit of Sydney. I see. Send one of your men in the armor of these holy knights. Set fire to the manor. Fire, my liege? The fool Sydney used his wyvern. We can't have witnesses telling the world, now can we? But the hostages, your family. Irrelevant. Burn it. Burn it to the ground. Yike. Bardorba, not a man to fuck with. What of Parliament? The VKP, Valindia Knights of the Peace. I like that they do the quotation or to kind of explain things. Have formed a squad to deal with the felons. The risk breakers. Meddling fools. Your will, my lord? That's kind of insulting to say that to Rosencrantz right there. Are we the baddies? Yes. Leamonde is yours. Let no one out of the town. You can deal with Sydney and the Blades there. And Parliament? I'll deal with those watchdogs. They won't trouble you further. And the young Lord Joshua. He is my light, my soul. If aught should befall him. As you wish, my lord. Oh, Joshua. I faded to rot and wither even as I breathe. So quick. I didn't press a button. I promise. I promise I didn't press a button. Sometimes the dialogue, the auto dialogue in this game is very fast. 11:42 a.m. Nice bowl cut, nerd. Rude. Leamonde is an old town with a history of over 2,000 years. Its walls have seen many battles. They are stronger than that of the mightiest forts of Valindia. And as the sun wheels through the sky, the beauty of their shifting colors surpasses that of any palace. I don't know if this autos or not. It does. The Grand Cathedral that towers over the town center is a symbol of Leamonde's indomitable spirit and is the holy ground of the devout Iacus priesthood. At its height, Leamonde was a thriving community more than 5,000 people strong. That's not very many. 25 years ago, a great earthquake brought that chapter in Leamonde's history to a close. 5,000 is actually pretty small for a medieval city. Not teeny tiny, but it's definitely not like the big place. It's not that big. That fits way more than 5,000 people, I'm telling you right now. That I feel like they're missing a zero in there. I feel like it should have been 50,000. Well. Merlos, calm down with the hips. Okay, character designers, calm down with hips. The two sentinels are dead. Murdered. This is the only way in? There's a great crevasse preventing entry above ground. And from the sea? Nay, sunken reefs that rose during the earthquake form a gauntlet of whirlpools. Too dangerous. You do know we sent agents in, thinking those ruins were the Mullenkamp base. Not one returned. Not on account of the whirlpools, I wager. Surely it was men who killed them. How was it down there? Come down and see for yourself. According to the survivors, our comrade, Agent Riot, headed out for Leomonde before noon. Of course, the reports are vague, and we cannot deny the possibility of inaccuracies. Yet given that there is only one path to infiltrate Leomonde, this office believes the reports to be valid. What's this? That's what I'm here to find out. Does seem well fortified for a wine cellar. Oh? Leomonde's wineries were once vied with the best of Valindia. Since they went out of production, the remaining vintages sell for a premium. If I find any, consider them yours. You plan to go alone? An agent with no combat experience would just be a liability. That doesn't make her happy. Rude? Fucking rude? Tell me what you know about Mullenkamp and this Sydney fellow. Sydney, and again, we'll talk about pronunciations here in a little bit. We're almost to the wine cellar. We're very close, and I'll talk about a whole bunch of different stuff. Sydney Losterot, leader of the religious cult Mullenkamp. His real name and age are unknown, one of many self-styled prophets of the apocalypse. So why would a cult missionary commit such a crime? I do not know what the Cardinal thinks, but the VKP believes he is no prophet. Indeed, he is in dark alliance with Duke Bardorba, who controls Parliament from behind the scenes. That the cult is but a front. Perhaps this incident is a sign of some falling out between the two. Or merely another of the Cardinal's witch hunts. There are many would-be prophets in the land these days, but Sydney is different. His prophecies ring true, and those enraptured by the way he hums revelations, as though they were simple ballads. All say the same. He is a miracle. I mean, Ashley did just watch him stand up after getting shot in the heart. In any case, he has a strange power. Resurrection? Oh. He can guess the past of those he meets. He can even read hearts. They say his charisma is such that his followers offer both body and soul to him. Sounds like you're quite taken with him yourself. Agent Riot. If I do not return by the morrow's eve, inform HQ, won't you? Godspeed. Whoops! We sent men to monitor the abandoned mineshaft that leads to Leomonde. All were found dead. At the entrance, other bodies were found. 2 knights of the Cardinal's Crimson Blades. Our men were murdered with swords, but the knights' wounds show they died by their own hands. At present, we have taken the bodies into our custody, and our specialists are continuing the examination. Excerpt from Greylands. Incident Investigation Report. Section 3.14. Vintage wine. No live burials today, thanks. Strange power indeed. Okay. Here we go. We are finally here. We are in the wine cellar. Yeah! Woo! Okay. We can talk about a whole bunch of things. So, let's talk about the HD-ish scenario real quick. So, obviously, this is a pretty old game. I am going to show you what this game looks like, normally. So this is what this game looks like normally. Obviously, there's the differentiation between this being on a CRT or not on a CRT, but this is a pretty old game, right? We're talking 4x3, very pixelated graphics, etc., right? So what we are doing is we are basically just upscaling the resolution by 13 times, which is going to give us a clearer, sharper picture. That is going to cause some issues. You've already seen some of them here or there. A little bit of like wobbling or warbling in some of the movements. Like some pixels, we saw that little blue triangle cut out in Ashley or in Sydney's face earlier. So there are going to be a couple of little issues here or there. We are also adjusting the aspect ratio to 16:9. A lot of people will recommend, if you're doing this stuff, they'll recommend going to 20:9, right? If you're trying to really go for that 4K experience scenario. Only some issues on a game that looks this good, I'll fucking take it. Exactly, right? I'll fucking take it. Well, we're hoping we only get some issues. In fairness, I've only tested this a little bit, so there might be more issues later. But, some people will recommend, if you're trying to go for that 4K kind of effect, to try to do 20:9 instead of 16:9. The issue that I have with the 20:9 is it shows certain things that are happening off screen, which is jarring to me. Like in that intro where Sydney is, or where Ashley is hiding behind the boxes, and he knocks the box open, and the guys come and he fights. If you're in 20:9, you will see Sydney just standing there in an idle animation as the screen pushes towards him. And then suddenly, when he gets to where he's supposed to be on screen, he'll snap to where he's actually crouching. So you get these kind of like little weird jarring effects. You obviously can do it if you want. There are ways to make the game look better than what we are doing right now. But for me, what we have done here with the upscaling to 13 times and 16:9, along with some perspective correction stuff, just to try to like help fix the warbling and broken lines and things like that. That is the quickest and easiest way that I think the game looks good without causing too many issues and without trying to go behind a paywall. Because there, like I said, there are texture packs and ways to scale the game better, but those cost money, and we are not necessarily interested. So that's what we're doing. That's what I mean when I say HD-ish. It's not really HD, but we're just trying to make the game look a little bit better. I think it looks great. Yeah, I think it looks pretty damn good, all things considered. So, other thing I want to talk about is what I plan to do for this playthrough. This is a completely fresh save. This is not New Game Plus. I have no items or anything like that. I have not played the game in many, many, many years. But once upon a time, I was incredibly invested in this game. And I, spent time learning all of the mechanics and fighting optional bosses, and my cat is knocking things over. You sleepy? You eepy up there? Okay. And, basically, like, really getting involved in this game. So, I plan to try to do this run without a walkthrough, right? This is not going to be a speed run or anything like that. I'm just going to play through the game and try to like nostalgia vibes, enjoy going back to a game that I absolutely adored. And see how much I remember about it. See if I remember the mechanics well enough to not get stuck. And see if I can remember, like there are going to be puzzle solutions that I don't remember. There are going to be ways around that I don't remember, etc., etc. And depending on how involved people want to get, maybe we'll make like weapons together or things like that. And I'll talk a lot about mechanics that I remember. Though obviously it's been 8+ years since I've really played the game, so I might misremember things and I might misspeak. So if I fuck up, if I say something wrong, feel free to correct me in chat, or if you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments, by all means. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other thing I wanted to talk about was pronunciations. Again, it's a very old game. This is a bit of a cult classic. Some people get very attached to them. You can make weapons. Yes! You can make weapons. You can kind of like craft your own weapons. It's not super duper complex. You get like the blade of the weapon, or the, purdy part of the weapon, and you get the handle part of the weapon, and then you get gems that you can plug into it. So, but yeah, it's kind of neat. So this is a bit of a cult classic. Some people get really attached to those things. As far as I am aware, there is no pronunciation guide in this game. There's no voice acting where people say names of peoples and places in the right way. I have talked to a lot of people over the years about this game. I've heard people say different names in different ways a lot of the times. One of the standout examples being Sydney's last name, right? You saw me when we were going through that introduction scene, which is such a cool introduction scene. Takes about 30 minutes if you're actually sitting through it. It's pretty badass, though. You saw me, or would have heard me say his last name 2 different ways. His last name is Losstarot. Some people look at that and look at it and say 2 different words, right? Loss Tarot, right? And then other people look at it and just kind of like try to read it phonetically and say Lost Tarot. I'm sure there are interviews where the creators have fucking said names here or there, but I have not looked at those, and I do not know the correct pronunciation of most of the things. So I'm just going to default to what I have always said, and if other people have opinions, feel free to give them. You went looking, and it didn't survive the move because the disc is in 3 pieces. Oh no! Oh, that's kind of sad. That actually, I think Vagrant Story is kind of an expensive game these days. So that actually does suck. All the more reason why this game needs to be remade/remastered. I would take both. I would be happy with both. So yeah, that's, I think, most of what I wanted to talk about of like a preparatory scenario. What we've done with the graphics, talk about pronunciations and that kind of stuff. Talk a little bit about what I plan to do for the game, like what my goal is. And yeah. That is, I think, it. It is, but you're going to try to salvage the data off the disk? Ooh, fingers crossed. Hopefully it works out for you. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to probably spend way too much time talking about the things that I love about this game. One of the things that I love about this game is it is a 3D game. So you are moving around, you're jumping, there's platforming, puzzle solving, etc., etc. But there's this little first person option where you can kind of, it's not especially smooth because the controls are inverted for some reason, but you can like put it in into first-person mode and look around, and you can actually observe things around each of the rooms and the set pieces and things like that, and it's pretty cool. You can even go into this mode. We'll see if I remember. First room, Udis. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. We're just gonna step into this, and we're gonna... So you can even, in the midst of combat, you can freeze the game to look around at the enemy positioning and things like that. And it's a really cool little function. It is a little janky. You got to get used to the controls. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little situation. We're gonna run. Okay. So yeah, very, very fun. Other thing that I love... I stopped pressing the wrong button. Oh, right. I have it set. And I do... Okay, yeah, I can. I still gotta get used to controls. It's one of those Square games where, like, the controls aren't what you would think that they're not in the right place in my head. Anyways, this game has a map that populates as you explore. Every single fucking room in this game has a name. You come into the game in the entrance to darkness. The next room is the workers' break room. The next room is the Hall of Struggle. Every single room in this game has its own, like, title of what that room is. And it's so cool. It's so evocative. This game has such a vibe going on with it. The map is also very interesting because you can maneuver it around in, top-down perspective, or you can actually see it from, like, an elevation perspective. And there's the compass to kind of, like, keep you orientated the entire time. Very, 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 very cool. So, we are in the second room. We're gonna pop up here. We're gonna get our first chest. There's gonna be a weapon in here along with a shield, a glove, and some healy stuff. So we're gonna take all this, and then we're gonna start talking about inventory. Because if you noticed something there, it's that you see this 2 of 8, 2 of 16, 2 of 16, 1 of 8, 7 of 16, 0 of 48, 7 of 64. This game has limited inventory, both in what you can carry on yourself and what you can put into your stash. Stash is pretty fucking big, so typically it's not an issue. But it is a bit of an issue of how limited your carry space is for things like armor, things like weapons, gems, and miscellaneous stuff. You have a pretty fucking large amount of space, and it stacks, right? Like, each cure root does not count as one slot. It's just all cure roots count as one slot, right? I feel like this could have been a bit more relaxed than it was. Well, remake, remaster, maybe quality of life. But it does make things a little interesting in how you have to manage stuff, because the weapons you keep on you are very important. And as you're exploring around and you're getting new weapons, you might run into a scenario where you want to pick something up and you can't necessarily pick something up. But you might notice, right, we can carry 8 weapons, but we can carry 16 blades and 16 grips. So that's 8 more broken down weapons, disassembled weapons that we can carry. So we can't reassemble them out and about. We have to be at a workshop. But if you find something and you're like, actually, I do want to keep this, you can disassemble it. So you're carrying the parts, so you can make something better later. Or you can disassemble something that you already have to make room for more stuff later on. It's a pretty interesting system. So, I am going to talk briefly. This is an incredibly complex game. I am going to talk briefly about the way damage works in this game. And we'll talk more about it as the game goes, right? Um, because there's a lot of complicated factors. But I think one of the reasons why a lot of people bounced off this game, and it's a cult classic and not like a big success, is because that complexity is not really explained very well, and it leads to a lot of people not understanding what the fuck is going on, or feeling like they understand what is going on and trying to do that thing and then that thing not succeeding. So we're gonna talk about how damage in Vagrant Story works real quick. So it's a bunch of complicated formulas, but it basically boils down to the concept of your strength, which is more than just your strength, but your strength plus modifiers versus an enemy's defense plus modifiers, right? And the plus modifiers is where things get really complicated because there are a bunch of modifiers. You have class, affinity, type being the main modifiers, but those are kind of broken down. Many of those are broken down into additional little things, right? So you can see down here on the side, we have this whole, what's our range, what's our risk, what's our attack strength, what's our attack int, what's our agility. All of those matter in some way, depending on whether you're doing physical damage, magical damage, how good a chance you have of hitting or dodging, etc., etc. And you can see, for example, 110 attack strength on the Fandango, 109 attack strength on the Tovarish. But you can also see on this left side, both of them have this whole class affinity type thing. And you see a whole bunch of stuff. You see human, beast, undead, phantom, dragon, evil. And then you see all these affinities. All these things are grayed out, but it's basically like physical damage versus elemental damage. And then you see typing. And you can see the blunt and piercing are grayed out, and edged is not. So let's talk very briefly about this because it's funny that Lantis is making jokes about this. Has been like, how's your dragon damage, right? Because that's actually the problem. A lot of people focus on this first tab, the whole class tab, and a lot of guides early on really stressed that training up your class damage on a particular weapon was the most important thing that you can do, but it's actually not. So a little brief explanation on that is that so there are enemy types of all of these in the game. There are humans, beasts, undead, phantoms, dragons, and evil. Every time you hit one of those things with a weapon, you'll increase the weapon's class damage against that enemy type. So if you use the Fandango, for example, versus a bunch of humans, it'll get higher and higher. If you use it against other things, it will slowly start to decrease the human, right? So the general theory, especially early on in the internet, was to always have like one to either carry 6 weapons, one for each class, or more common to carry 2 weapons and have like a human beast weapon, an undead phantom weapon, a dragon evil weapon, right? So where you only use that weapon against that type of enemy. The issue with that is that that's unfortunately that does increase your damage, but that's not actually how the damage calculations work. The damage calculations care way more about the defense of the enemy than they do about the class of the enemy. i.e., they care about what the enemy's affinity and type is more than they care about what its class is. To the point of correctly affecting typing, I think is like 4 times more valuable than correctly affecting class. And so typing can be kind of interesting to look at. The Fandango is this scimitar that we have on our hand, right? If we flip over to the type, you can see blunt and piercing are grayed out. It says blunt 0, piercing 1. Edged is not grayed out, and it's 4. That's because this is an edged weapon. But where do the numbers come from? Well, the numbers, if you flip down, the Fandango is composed of a scimitar blade and a short hilt grip. The scimitar holds the class and affinity. The short hilt grip holds the blunt-edged piercing. But you'll notice that none of these are grayed out when you're just looking at the grip. That's because this grip could be attached to a blunt weapon, or a piercing weapon, or an edged weapon. Which means that if it was attached to a blunt blade, like a hammer, it would be a +0. If it was attached to a rapier, it'd be a 1, right? It's because it is attached to an edge that it is 4. And so the kind of dominant strategy actually is, rather than worrying about class that much, you can still train for class and it's still useful. But rather than worrying about class as much, you really need to be carrying around a blunt weapon, an edged weapon, and a piercing weapon, so that if you go up against someone who has bad piercing defense, you hit them with piercing, and you'll do way the fuck more damage. And of course, you're like, oh, this guy is bad against piercing and water, so I'll put water on my rapier and beat the shit out of him. That does way more damage than farming up your class types and being really worried about that. Not that, that's not unuseful. Still very useful for certain situations. But the issue is there are a couple enemies in the game where if you don't know how affinity and type works, and you don't know how buffing your own stuff and debuffing the enemy's stuff works, you'll do 0 damage. You'll legitimately just do 0 damage, and they're just hard walls, and you can't get past them unless you do like some not weird, but like cheesy strategy-ish, and cross your fingers. And even some of those don't always work. So it can be kind of a pain in the ass. Anyways, very complex game. That was a bit of a dump. We're not gonna dump like that every single time. We're gonna play for a little while, and then I'll discuss little things here or there as they kind of come up, and we'll talk about them more specifically. One thing that I do want to point out is, you can see up in the top left, we have here and here, DP and PP. This is damage points, and this is phantom points. So damage points are basically the, not integrity. My mind's blanking on the word for... when a weapon slowly breaks down, someone will tell me. I can't remember, but it's basically the durability. That's what it is. It's the weapon's durability. I beat you to it. Fuck you. Ha ha. I got it. So yeah, damage points are basically the weapon's durability. As you use it, that's gonna go down. If it gets to 0, it's bad. I didn't stream delay. Oh no, that's bullshit. If it gets to 0, that's really bad. The weapon it doesn't break, but the weapon will do almost no damage. And it's really shitty. Conversely, phantom points is a meter that will build as you use the weapon. And once it hits max, it will increase the effectiveness of the weapon. So you basically want to keep both of these high. This will go down as you use it. This will go up as you use it. Another way, phantom point, but well, not another way, but phantom points, unfortunately, will go down while you're in battle mode. So this is going to suck, but I'm going to bite the bullet and do this. We have 27 PP right now. I'm going to enter battle mode. You draw your weapon. You see it up in the top right. Battle mode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are down to 25 PP. You get, I don't know what the specific number is. I don't know if there is a specific number. I think it's about 1 PP every 2 to 3 seconds loss. But you'd lose PP if you stay in battle mode. You lose PP if you stay in battle mode. You lose phantom points if you stay in battle mode. So it is important to, while you're fighting, obviously you're going to need to be in battle mode. But outside of fighting, you put your damn sword away so you're not just hemorrhaging phantom points. Because if you don't, that'll actually screw you up. That'll kind of make things a lot worse for you in the long run. Also, your HP, MP, and risk regenerate, and they regenerate faster when you're not in battle mode. So it's useful to get the fuck out of battle mode. We're going to save real quick. I'm definitely not getting a 10-hour run this time. The saving is notoriously slow in this game. This is probably one of the single biggest quality of life improvements would be the saving system not sucking. Okay. Fight some stats and stuff. Really good kind of like tutorial design. The first several rooms, you can spin your camera around. You just remembered crafting? Yeah, baby! In relation to saving, yes, every time you go into your storage. So, first couple of rooms are kind of like Mega Man-esque design, kind of like concept of teaching you, very passively teaching you what the mechanics of the game are. No explanation or anything like that, just, oh, you walk into a room, here's a wall, you gotta jump up. You cannot grab a ledge or an item with your weapon out. Get another reason to put your damn weapon up. Wah. Lots of elevation. Elevation is a very big thing in this game. Well, got her open. It's no good. Not even budge. What's this? It weren't locked a moment ago, eh? No key holds this door. It be a grimoire what's doing this. Who locked it then? Someone inside? Buggered if I know. Look, we'll be cut off from the others. And where are those scouts, man? They've not returned. It's be no time for loafing around. Keep your cap on, brother. Now come up here and take a look at this. Take a look at this. What's this? What's that? A grimoire. Alright, so very cool. A little bit of world building as we kind of experiment and understand what's going on here. We can interact with that door that he was just at. We can see the door is locked with the chamomile sigil. Chamomile? Chamomile? I don't remember. So we gotta follow them. Little introductory thing. There are traps on the fucking ground of this game. Some places will be absolutely riddled with them. But there are also beneficial traps. Thing to know about traps. They are reactivated if you jump on them. Obviously, this is a heal panel, so this is good for us now. But if you run into a bad trap, don't try to jump off of it. Walk off of it, because you might accidentally fumble the jump, not jump far enough, and have your foot still on the trap, and just hit yourself again. So try not to do that. I have done that many times. Many times. This too be a grimoire's doing. By the gods. I'd oft heard of it, but this is very funny to me. But I think this is a very interesting point that the writers and the designers are making right here. These guys are like, this is wild. This stone is moving back and forth of its own volition. That goes to show how mundane the world is to these men. So outside of this place, these guys, like, this isn't and it's funny, it's interesting coming from the Final Fantasy Tactics Ivalice, right? But there's no one throwing out, like, fireballs and lightning bolts back out in the real world scenario. These guys are freaking out because of a floating block and a locked door, right? So other shit is wild to them. And a worm, a dragon, was sighted at the Duke's Manor. In FFT, magic is just a few job points away. Yeah, in their minds, it's magical in fact. Yeah, absolutely. And it is magical. It is 100% magical, right? But to them, this is outlandish. This is wild, seeing a moving block. If they saw a dragon breathing fire at them, they'd piss themselves, right? That's so far out of their kin. If there's magic about, dragons won't be far behind. Also interesting. I worry about Guildenstern and the other. Yeah, definitely has a low fantasy vibe. Which is interesting to think of, like, how did this world that is Ivalice get to a low fantasy vibe from Tactics? Yeah, seeing a dragon, so low fantasy. Well, look, they're not supposed to be seeing dragons. They'll be fine. Think of it. If we've witnessed miracles, floating block, locked door, miracles such as these on Leomonde's doorstep, what then lies within? You wear naivete like a crest, brother. Surely the maesters know of this grimoire. Mayhaps we've just been in the dark, eh? Yet our charge is to drub those Mullenkamp scoundrels and procure the miracles of Leomonde. 'Tis just a rumor, but I've heard that Guildenstern's lot works them magics as well. Rubbish. We're servants of the Lord. No true knight of the cross would dabble in the black arts. It's only a rumor, brother. But if Sidney is truly the worker of Diablerie they claim he is, I say fight fire with fire. I say let the Lord be our shield. Ever the choir boy. Rude. I'm sure you can get some good materials from a dragon. Yeah. The only shield I see is the one covering your eyes. Heretic or no, I believe what I see, and right now, I see sorcery. Swine'll take wing for the likes of us use magic, my friend. Aye, but with a grimoire, your fattest sow could outfly my swiftest falcon, if you believe the chroniclers. With a grimoire, you say? You could even make cobblestones float like clouds. Whoa! Spooky! Alright, so that little momentary break. I'm gonna see if I can show off an interesting thing about the game. We're gonna do this. and it's gonna get us hurt. I'm doing this knowingly, so we're going to swing. Oh no, fuck. All right. So here's one thing that's very interesting. You can see every time we open the circle, game freezes, right? Wherever the enemy is, that is where they is. Their physics are going to continue. You can catch people mid-jump. Enemies cannot catch you mid-jump. But when you land, you will kind of like have a little delay in being able to move again. I'm gonna try and see if I can get this again. Okay, so hopefully this will work. I'm trying to show off the physics engine. Because you can see we're targeting his left arm, because that's the only thing that is in range. But the wall is in range. So you can block shots by ducking around a corner if there's an enemy that is like shooting at you with a physical object. You can clip enemy swords into walls or other enemies or things like that. It's very, very interesting. This is what originally drew you to the game back in the day, as you were a huge Parasite Eve fan. Yes, yeah. So this whole like targeting system is very cool. So other thing, you can see the exclamation marks above their head. Enemy with an exclamation mark means that they have prepped an attack. They are ready to get you. You can kind of like run out of people's ranges. They'll try to chase you down, but you can run out of people's ranges, kind of like kite them. Make them semi-lose interest if they can't get to you, that type of thing. And then the other thing, obviously I probably should have led with this because this is kind of what Jay's talking about here, is inside this targeting circle, which is different depending on the weapon you have, right? Like longer weapons, like a spear, will have a larger circle for you to choose from. Weapons like a crossbow have a very long range, right? But within this targeting circle, you can target various body parts. You can target their arms, their head, their body, their legs, and you can see there are different numbers. You can see right arm HP. You can see, so the first number is the forecasted damage, and the second number is the hit percent, right? The percent chance to hit. So you can see there are different damage amounts, right? So we theoretically do a little more damage if we hit him in the head, but the head is a smaller target. We have a less of a chance of hitting him. Body is a very big target. We have a very, very high chance of hitting him in the body, but the damage is lower because his body is armored. Every different portion of a creature will have different hit percentages and will have different defenses based on that creature, what their equipment is, what their natural defenses are, what their natural elements are, what their race is or species is, their class is, and dealing enough damage to enemies' various body parts can debilitate them in different ways. For example, most enemies, you can see both these guys, right, are wielding their weapons in their right hands and a shield in their left hand. So most enemies you can hit in the right arm, and even if you don't kill them, if you do enough damage to their right arm, you can reduce the amount of damage they will do to you because you've injured that arm. Conversely, every other body part has an attached kind of like debilitation. I think head is like magic damage down, legs are speed down. I don't know that I remember what body and left arm is. I think left arm is maybe just like defense down because that's usually the shield arm. But I don't remember what body is. So, very, very complicated. Lots of little moving parts and pieces. But as you can see, even if you don't want to interact with all of the little moving parts and pieces, it's very easy to just run through the game and be like, oh, 31 damage on a 93% chance. I take that. Okay. Another thing that I want to do, Come here, you. Okay, he hit me. 19 damage. Okay, this other guy's gonna try to hit me. You can see, we currently have the Fandango equipped. We got the Tovarish. When we got the Tovarish, we also got a shield that we have not equipped. That guy just did 19 damage to us, right? So we're gonna put this buckler on. That's it. That's it. We also got a leather glove, which I believe is actually a little more defense on strength, yes. And it has 3 blunt. Okay, so kind of want to see if I can just avoid that guy. Yeah, okay, let's let this guy hit us. 13 damage. So you can see right there, right, just differentiating, just by putting that shield on and the glove, right, that guy went from doing 19-ish damage to doing 13-ish damage. So that's a pretty big chunk of damage reduced. There are two-handed weapons in this game, right? Two-handed weapons do deal more damage than one-handed weapons do, but losing your shield means you take a lot more damage otherwise. So let's kill these guys. We'll kill one, or we'll work on killing one. Which one is that? No, I want the other guy. Okay, so that guy dies. So another thing, as you can see, in the bottom left corner, we have a little image of Sydney. We can go into our status, and just like enemies, every part of our body can get targeted, right? So you have the right arm, left arm, head, body, legs, etc., etc. As you are taking damage into various portions of your body, you can be afflicted with the same issues that you can afflict enemies, right? So if you are presenting your left or your right arm to enemies a whole bunch and that's what's getting hit, your damage can get cut, right? If you're trying to rely on spellcasting and you suddenly take a big blow to the head, right? You can suddenly do a lot less magic damage. If something keeps hitting your legs and you're trying to get away from it, it can slow you the fuck down. So it's a really interesting thing. Fortunately, all healing makes your status basically improved very easily. The health of your body parts are very easy to heal. No real lasting damage or anything like that. Very easy to noodle around. Okay, so we're gonna put our weapon away, and you can see immediately our risk ticks down and our health is slowly ticking up. This game, if you have patience, you can actually just passively heal through basically the majority of the game. There's no need to do that because there are a lot of ways to heal, but it is something that you can do. You can see our chest has already gone back to blue condition as we are slowly regenerating HP. And if we take a look at our Fandango, we really haven't classed up yet. Well, the human affinity is potentially slowly going to increase. Both human and beast, because those are the things that we're going to fight at this point in time. We're at -1/-1. We'll make sure to check in here in a little bit and see what we got. But you can also see our PP up to 49 already, and our DP down a little bit. This is a save point. We already saw a save point. This is a storage chest. Check the container. There is nothing in here, so no like secret starter stash or anything like that to pull out of the starter chest. But there are New Game Plus modes and things like that, so you can very quickly interact with your prior existing stuff. You can see the bag on the left are kind of limited inventory versus the storage container on the right. Still not a crazy number of weapons, but you can store a bunch of blades and grips and a decent amount of shields and armor and good gems and... Okay, well, if you run out of room, that's on you. That's on you, fam. You do not need that much stuff, I promise you. But these containers are kind of spruced around throughout the game and allow you to store plenty of stuff. We don't really need to interact with that right now. Anytime you remove or store stuff, you have to save the game. Save the game is pretty fucking slow. So it's kind of annoying. Ta-ta! Honey baby. First random drop. As you run around and kill things, they will drop random shit. This can be a good thing because, you know, there are weapons that you can grind and farm and armor pieces and shit like that. It can also be annoying if you're like, oh shit, my shit's full. So keep that in mind, right? But yeah, we'll take additional stuff. We are going this way. Aha. My memory. Now, I'm just going to take the hit. There is a trap right here. I'm not going to remember every trap that exists in the game. I remember the trap panels early on because I've played the game a bunch and the beginning sequence is kind of ingrained in my head. But there's a gust panel right here. If you step on it, it will hurt. Like that. It hurts quite a bit. But HP is not really a big issue in this game, or for us right now in this game. Here comes one of Parliament's watchdogs. You go back in silence as yapping. Parliament's watchdogs? An agent of the VKP. You can follow orders, can you not? The VKP is your enemy. Now, go. Sir. That's cheating, Sydney! Game is very interesting. So again, kind of neat way that the game tries to teach you things. I'm gonna see if I can... So, oh, you're fighting a guy. And just like that, the game teaches you that you can accidentally destroy boxes while you are fighting. And that absolutely can be very annoying. So it's a fun little situation. So now let's kill this man. We'll just arm. Right arm in the beginning of the game is very easy to just spam on. Especially since if you stand like this, you're presenting your shield, right? So I don't think that really matters. Obviously, like, where you get hit can matter. But like any hit is gonna do damage based off of all of your but by presenting your left arm to the enemy, if they keep hitting it, you're not risking your right arm going into critical, meaning you're not losing damage. Smack that guy a bit until he dies. And we can hear and see. Alright, so this guy has a fucking crossbear. You can jump down. If you jump down, he is going to immediately shoot you. Which is fine. You can just rush him and then beat the shit out of him. But if you get him in this corner, he will continue to jump back and forth. And every time he jumps, you can hit him in the head. Put your weapon away. Oh, he got me. I'm just gonna go get him. Aha! Easy peasy. Oh, and we can see, right? My right arm is now in yellow condition as my HP has decreased quite a bit. I do not feel I'm welcome here. Alright, bats. Next bat. He's a comedian. So much like the other guy, we don't have to jump down there with the dog. We can kick its ass, sea bass, from up here. Little doorway. Lots of little nooks and crannies to explore in this game. Door has been locked. There are where you will enter, and they will be like, you're not getting out of this shit. You can get out. It's fine. Just kill everything and you're good. Ah. Jump and hit my face. Door has been unlocked. Very nice. Bunch of stuff. You can parkour. But really, we're after this. This is gonna give us a bow. Not a bow. A fucking bow gun. Seventh Heaven. Along with a glaive and some more Healy stuff. So Seventh Heaven. Let's actually throw the let's throw the bow gun on real quick. Show it. So it is two-handed, right? Can't use a shield if you're using a bow gun. But big range. Big range compared to the Fandango. Right? Not like crazy, oh my god, I can shoot across the battlefield range, which is kind of what you would want, honestly, but pretty big range. You can kite enemies with a bowgun. Unfortunately, the bowgun or the bowgun class of weapons is the weakest damage in the fucking game. I think it's because it doesn't interact with one of the damage modifiers. I don't remember what it is. But for whatever reason, it does basically like half the damage of most of the other weapons. There's also a caster weapon that doesn't do much physical damage either, but bowgun is generally the weakest of the weapons, but it does provide you with range and is useful in certain situations. Because sometimes there's enemies that will dance outside of your range with a normal weapon, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, so even if you don't do much damage to them with the bowgun, slapping on the bowgun can be helpful. Would have been a better reference if it was called Barrett. Ah, but it's a good reference nonetheless. Yes, definitely. So yeah, pretty neat little situation. We're gonna stick with the Fandango for now. And put our shield back on. Clear. And we got a new thing. So we got a reinforced glove. Again, you can see defense strength is 1. Defense int is 13 on the bandage. Basically, that means the reinforced glove is better against physical and less good against magic. You can run around with gear if you're like, oh, hey, this enemy does magic damage. I'm going to switch over to my fucking magic set so I don't get smacked as much. Are there metal slimes in this so that Fandango is even better? No, there are not. Unfortunately. And you can also see interesting stuff here, right? The differentiation, those damage calculations matter for you as well, right? So having a blunt of 1 on a glove and 2 zeros means that, well, everything's going to hurt. But if you have a blunt of 5 and a piercing of 3, that means blunt damage on that particular body part is actually going to be quite a bit less successful, which is nice. So we will swap over to the reinforced glove. Put our Fandango away. And continue about our way. You may also notice no more bats, no more wolf in here. We go back in here. 1 wolf. So enemies do respawn in the game, but they don't full respawn. It's not like walk out of a room, walk back into a room, and every enemy is going to respawn. The respawns are kind of gradual, and there are also repopulations. So right now we are fighting a bunch of bats and wolves, but once we go past a certain point in the game will be like, oh, well, other shit has moved in, right? And so when they do a repop, they'll generally respawn every room. So that's kind of an interesting thing to look out for. You thought it'd be a Dark Souls game where you saved, so now fight them all again? There might be some respawning tied to saving. I'm not positive. But I think most of it is tied to a time modifier plus progression modifier. Once you go far enough in the game, like when you beat a zone and you enter the next zone, there's not really zones, but zone. I say there's not really zones. There's totally zones. When you go to like a zone, most of the shit in the last zone is going to repopulate. It's possible that there's something attached to the saving mechanism as well. At this point in the game, you may or may not have had that scenario where the knight, right, accidentally destroyed a box in the other room. If that happened for you, then you know you can destroy boxes. If that didn't happen for you, you may have just opened up your menu and seen that you can target boxes. Either way, you can just pick up this box and move it forward. But if you fucked up and accidentally destroyed it, or while you were fighting that wolf, one of the boxes underneath it got destroyed, what are you supposed to do? Pretty easy. You just reset the room, right? So, resetting room resets blocks into all their positions. for block puzzles and things like that. So very easy, simple, clean, no problem. Grab a box, drop it down, jump up, keep going. This is another example. I think if you miss the whole, like, being able to destroy a box, this is another good example where the game will show you. Because that wolf will be like, oh, I destroyed this box. And that happens way more commonly than the other knight destroying the box. Alright. So, we have this box. We have a new block type here. We have this block. This little white rounded block. We cannot interact with this block. It is too heavy for us to pick up. And we can't interact with it because this is a push block or a rolly block, and it's in the corner, so we can't fuck with it. We'll have to take this box. You can lose both boxes here to that wolf if you're not paying attention. And he can make you have to start the room over again. There's something holding this door shut. Ah, my wonder. So, this game is about to introduce a thing. Pull the lever! This game loves to do this shit, where it's... the door is closing. You have limited time to perform specific actions, like, you know, opening a gate and rushing through before it closes behind you, etc., etc. Pretty interesting stuff. And just like that, right? Like the starting kind of like staging area is teaching you a lot of little basic mechanics without any tutorial, without any like, oh, this is a switch. Walk up to the switch and press X. You know? So really love the design scheme there of like not just like force teaching you. But we have to let Ashley go through some mental trauma real quick. You may note that our damage seemingly, because we've been fighting bats a little bit. Earlier on, we were doing like 50-ish damage to bats, then 60-ish damage. Now we're doing 70-ish damage to bats. It's all a one-shot anyways, but the reason why we are doing additional damage is some of that stuff that I discussed earlier is our beast has leveled from -1 up to 5 because we keep hitting beasts. But along with that, you can see our PP, our phantom points, because we've been using the Fandango, our phantom points are max. They're at 136. So while your phantom points are maxed, you're going to be doing a lot more damage with the weapon than you otherwise would do. So I kind of wish we had killed that one bat, discussed that, and then swapped over to the Tovarish. But yeah, if we were to swap over to the Tovarish right now, we would be doing significantly less damage than we would otherwise. We can't make it. We can't make it. So if at this point you have not witnessed the boxes being destroyed by either the guy or the dog, or had to do it yourself, you have to at this point, because the bats aren't gonna. I mean, technically, I guess the bats can destroy it, but I don't see how that would happen. So the game is like, you probably have already learned this. If you haven't learned this, sometimes you have to destroy boxes to make your way. And now, we are almost... Uh-oh. Say more. We are almost... First something. Go ahead and open our thing. Get a Cure Potion. Cure Potions restore all HP. Cure Bulbs restore 100 HP. Cure Potions significantly more valuable than a Cure Bulb. we're gonna save real quick. Probably don't need to, but force of habit, you know how it is. There's so many. Hit the save. Go to data. Go to save. Pick the slot. Confirm that you want to, like, ay. The saving in this game is probably single-handedly the thing that frustrates me the most. Oifa doifa. The black market. Oh, we haven't been checking the map. Let's check the map real quick. Cure bulb equals potion. Cure potion equals X potion. Cure, yeah, kinda. So we can see where we've been. Again, inverted controls, very annoying. But we can see where we've been. We can see, like, the differing elevations, right, of how we are progressing through this location. And we can see the names, right? We are currently in the Black Market of Wines. The room right before that was the Room of Rotten Grapes. Before that, it was the Rich Drown in Wine, the Laborer's Thirst, the Reckoning Room, Chamber of Fear, the Fine Vintage Vault, Wine Magnate's Chambers. Or is it Elixir for Cure Potion because it's full heal more? Yeah, so I think Elixirs normally do like full HP and full mana, so it's kind of like a half Elixir. I don't know if there's like a quintessential Final Fantasy potion that fully heals only your HP, right? Anyway, let's go. X potion is, yeah. So I'm gonna get used to the things. So there's a quick menu. Left trigger opens up your quick menu. We only have items, but that is the easiest way to get into access your consumables. The game uses consumables in a very weird way. You have to go through this whole animation. But we can see I used that not because I was worried about HP, but because it fully healed our body part conditions. And our arm was at yellow, and I was a little concerned about that. We're gonna walk in here and first boss time. Immediately gonna take. Look at this motherfucker! Look at this motherfucker! This is great. Love this. Alright, let's beat his ass. Okay. He hit us for 44 there. Our weapon was not drawn. Okay, he crit us. That doesn't count. I'm not gonna let him just beat my ass. So this guy does actually have this guy does actually have a special skill that I think you can disable if you hit him in the head enough times. So we're gonna try to do that. Oh, that might have done that just on the crit. Yeah, I don't think he can use it anymore. Ooh, okay. We probably could race him, but there's no real reason for us to race him. We'll just use a Cure Bolt. He got 2 crits on us. That's pretty lucky for him. Yeah, we could have just raced him. Damn it. Boss down. Easy scenario. Game doesn't make things too hard to start with. And I'm also kind of like talking through things. I love this. This is great. This is so, like, this is such an interesting thing. Okay, so other things to talk about. every boss that you beat, you may have noticed that we've been killing all these enemies. We're not getting any experience or anything like that. There is no experience. There's no level ups in this game. Every boss that you beat, you will get a total of what your score is, your map completion percentage, what your current ranking is, and you will get a roulette wheel for a stat up. Oh, that's not great. So you may have noticed that there were 4s, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s in there. Getting 1 is not very good. We're not, obviously we could do it very easily. We could like save state and like roll for it. But we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna take what's given to us. But it is pretty common for people to save before bosses, and if they're trying to get a specific stat, save scum. We also get, you're gonna get items after most bosses. Bosses are typically gonna unlock paths, doorways, so we get that chamomile sigil that we saw previously was locking the door. So that will let us through that. Save scum, run it back, right? We also, though, get 2 grimoires. We get Guerre and Debil. So we get Heal and Degenerate. So this is going to start our kind of magical repertoire. The way magic works in this game is the first time you cast it, you have to use it from the grimoire, and after you have done that, it is then in your magic. So that is just a little note. I know I've talked to some people or seen some people in the past be confused and not understand. They're like, I got a spell. Where's my spell? You gotta use the item first. And you have to use the item on something. So heal, obviously very easy. We can just use that on ourselves. But degenerate, you have to actually use that on an enemy. So get ourselves some stuff. And then also most bosses are gonna have like a treasure chest near them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So we also get a Pelta Shield, Barabulb 3, and 15 Yggdrasil's Tear. So curing paralysis, pretty useful. Let's take a quick look at that. Pelta Shield versus our Buckler. So this is something that I haven't mentioned before. If we go over to the weapons, you can see each of our weapons have B next to it. 1 MP! 1 MP! Where's the other half of the brothers? Look. They'll show up. They'll show up. They will also show up. They're gonna be around. So you can see each of our weapons has a B next to it. That stands for bronze. You can see the actual components of the blades themselves are typed. The grips are not typed, right? But then you also see, L. L is for leather. W is for wood. So not only are there a bunch of different equipments, but there are different materials for those equipments. So obviously, like a leather jerkin, right, is going to be significantly weaker defensively than something made out of steel, perhaps. Actually, I don't know if there is a steel. They got special names like Hagane and shit like that, right? Damascus, as you get further into the game. My god, it's not that crazy of crafting, but it's got a little bit of something going on to it. So we've got our buckler here, right? If we look at it, we've got 6 strength defense and 9 int defense and -1 agility. Agility is directly tied to your chance to hit and your chance to be hit. It's crazy for the time might be fair, yeah. So we can see right off the bat the Pelta Shield, right? 6 strength defense, 6 int defense, or 10 versus 9. So the Pelta Shield has better magic defense, but There's so many like variations here. So you can see the affinity, the Pelta Shield has one less on physical, right? And then the buckler is 10 blunt, and the Pelta Shield is 10 edge. And that is the biggest thing. So that is to show that the buckler, you're going to take significantly less damage from an enemy who is wielding a blunt weapon using the blunt buckler, right? Versus an enemy using an edged weapon, the Pelta Shield is going to be better. And then you can see we also have a gem slot for the Pelta Shield, which we do not have for the buckler. Earth is also higher on Pelta. That's true. Yeah. So every piece of gear that you come across has all of these different little modifiers, right? They have the core, right, like actual strength, whether that's for offense or defense. They have the core int, whether for offense or defense. They have an agility rating, and they all have these class ratings, affinity ratings, typings, gem slots, etc. So and yes, the gem slots, absolutely, right? Gear can have it can have 0 gem slots, obviously, but if it has a gem slot, it can have between 1 and 3, I think, is the maximum number of gems you can put in a piece of gear. So getting gems and socketing them into your gear absolutely is a massive deal for gear. And the cool thing about gems is obviously, so we're going to be able to make weapons, right? Like if we get to a workshop, we can put a blade onto a grip and make a new weapon, right? And you can break down old weapons into blades and grips and take the blade from this weapon and put it on a new grip, right? But you can't assemble weapons outside of a workshop, but you can socket gems outside of a workshop, I believe. It's been a while, so I might be misremembering on that. But I'm pretty sure you can socket gems outside of a workshop, which is really cool, because that lets you do some shit, right? We have no gems. Oh right, I forget. You have, this is another annoyance. The UI menus are kind of a pain in the ass because so we have all these things, but you have to specifically go over to equip to change your equipment. So we are going to change over to the Pelta Shield. It doesn't really matter right now, but it's fun to just see. Alright. We are done here. Surely everything is fine. We can just leave. Any more bedazzling would be criminal. Just Deadpool, I'm sure, would agree. Sydney. So this is a risk breaker. We can see the blue triangle strikes again. Most men complacently accept knowledge as truth. They are sheep, ruled by fear. But you are different. Always calm, detached, a smooth flow of thought into action. Indeed, it is almost as if you had no soul. How do you do it? Body and soul are one. Yet yours are separate, like a child from the knight in his storybook. Where is your soul, Riskbreaker? Is this VKP training? Or did you see something that made you shut your soul away? The rude inverse. Show me your soul. Stay out of my head, Charles! Oh, I forgot to change the thing. I'll do that immediately after this cutscene. So, Jay made this very wonderful layout for me, which is always awesome. But he's got Rosencrantz in the bottom right, and I'm like, Rosencrantz? This game is gold. Absolutely. Juwumpy? Welcome to the chat. I love this game. It's been many years since I've played it, so I will probably fuck things up. But it's a true gem. I really wish it got some attention and got a remake or a remaster. Because I think it, in the modern era, if given the correct TLC, would be truly amazing. Whispers about a remake? Yeah, but I feel like there have been whispers about a remake for years and years and years. I won't believe it until I see it. You killed your beloved wife and child. They were slain by fallen knights, jackals. Wrong. You failed to protect your wife, your child. He's sleeping. He's sleeping up there. Nobody wants to sleep in the goddamn cat tree anymore. I mean, except Buggy. She's way the fuck up there on that one. You failed in your duty as a knight, as a husband, as a father. Fucking kick him while he's down, Sydney. Jesus. You killed them. That's a big jump. That's cheating. Try to catch me, Ashley Riot. Look outside yourself and find your truth. What's your game? Pardon. Ah! We're loose! Pay no heed to me. Take them, Riot. I don't think he's in a position to take them right now, Merlos. The City of Shade will forgive your sins, my son, and call forth the power that lies within you even now. This is my game. I run. You give chase. I am the heart and you the hunter. But this heart has laid a few snares of his own. Let's start a ride. Absolutely. I'm waiting for you, Riskbreaker. I feel like we could catch up to Harden and Merlot's. Except this. Ashley has recovered battle abilities from his suppressed memory. Because if the game wasn't throwing enough at you yet, we got more. What's happening? Oh shit. I'm waiting for you, Ashley Riot. Okay! So, as the game just told us, we have a new option in our menu. We have battle abilities. So, battle abilities are where this game starts to get really interesting. We're going to go into the next room so we can noodle around with some stuff. So, you can see we have a little companion here now that was not previously here in this room. A little test dummy. This is a little human training dummy. 0 damage, 100% hit rate on everything. Let's see. Ooh. Okay, it didn't actually do 0 damage. So you can see when we attack, we generated 1 risk. Generated 1 risk. Okay. We keep hearing that name, Riskbreaker, Riskbreaker. We've seen our risk bar build a little bit because you gain risk whenever you attack or take damage. But it decreases, it burns off fast enough that we have not really been getting much risk at all. That is where battle abilities come into play. So we're gonna take a look at our chain abilities first. You start with 3. You have Heavy Shot, inflicts an amount of additional damage equal to 70% of damage dealt. You have Gain Life, regenerates an amount of Ashley's HP equal to 30% of the damage dealt. You have Temper. Inflicts an additional 40% of damage on foe and repairs, very importantly, a small amount of weapon damage. So we're gonna just do a little bit of assigning here real quick. And we're gonna show off other things to note, right? Heavy shot, it says right there, risk 1. Gain life, risk 2. Temper, risk 2. Etc, etc. So, if you swing, now that we have break abilities, if you swing, little exclamation mark popped up over our head. Ooh, what's that? I'm burning through heat. That's fine. We'll survive. So, if you time your hit correctly and press one of the corresponding buttons that you just assigned, you will chain into that ability. So we're gonna try. I was too fast. I do not have it. I never really have it. Right on. Slow. You can keep chaining infinitely as long as you don't fuck up the inputs. You can just chain forever as long as you don't fuck up the inputs. Okay, so let's actually try to chain and see what we can do. Fast, okay. Fuck that. Fast. Okay, so you can see now our risk was starting to build up pretty quick, and that's with skills that only cost 1 or 2 risk, right? But this is kind of like the core component of the game, or one of the game's core components is that these chain abilities allow you to do different effects, right? Do additional damage, restore some of your weapon's durability, restore some of your weapon's phantom points, or put in more phantom points. You get things like status effects, right? You can apply status effects to your hits, etc, etc. You can only have 3 chain abilities assigned at any given time, but you can open your fucking menu in the middle of combat with a boss and go to your battle abilities and be like, yo, I'm gonna swap over to this other thing, right? So like, oh, I want to put this status effect on this boss, or I want to try the status effect on this boss. Swap over to it, do it, right? Very, very cool, right? Aside from battle or chain abilities, we also have defense abilities, because just like you hit the enemy gets to hit you. So if you time correctly, you can do various effects. We have Ward, which will prevent paralysis and numbness. So if we go up against an enemy and we keep getting paralyzed or numbed, we can throw Ward on and try to time our defense against it to prevent that. Reflect damage, pretty solid throughout the majority of the game. It will reflect 40% of the damage done to you if you time it correctly. Very cool. Doesn't reduce the damage, you still take it all, but there are some tough enemies in the game that that are hard to hurt, and you can just kind of focus on defense and keeping yourself alive and hurt them through reflect damage. Or probably the thing that most people are going to utilize, Impact Guard, which is just going to halve the damage that you take. So pretty cool stuff. You may also notice beneath this it says next 10 points. The eagle-eyed of you may have noticed that previously, before we were throwing chains at this dummy, it said next 20 points. That's because the way you earn new chain or defense abilities is by using your abilities. So we have to use 10 more abilities to get this open. So let's take a look. Ah. Okay, so we did way more than 10 right there. We go over to abilities. You see it says next 0. So the thing about this is you have to actually kill something to get your to kind of like get the level up, right? So you need to keep an eye on how far away you are from your next up. This is actually kind of a little secret, not really secret, but a little trick. Is you can get your first couple off of this guy right here, just by smacking him enough times to trigger the thing, going into the next room, killing a bat, and boom. Whenever you do this, you can unlock either a chain or a defense, right? So we can see, right, we have access to 4 options in either set. In the defense abilities, we're basically getting elemental impact cards, so, you know, pretty interesting scenario. And in the chain abilities, we have access to poison, right? Numbness. What's numbness? Gaining magic, so instead of the gain life, gain magic, or burning their magic. All pretty interesting. Actually, I don't know what a poison, unfortunately, is not especially useful in the game. There's like 1 or 2 instances, I think, where it's okay. But probably actually just gain magic. So rather than kill these bats, which we could, right? We can pop back in here and we can see now we need 34 chains to unlock our next scenario. So hello. Another thing I want to point out is you can see the damage is slowly scaling. And you can also see the risk is increasing faster the higher we get. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, there it is. Once you get past 8 chains... So, once you get past 8 chains, we're going to show this real quick. High risk versus reward. High risk is, or risk management, is where this game gets pretty interesting. The higher your risk is, the more damage you will do. The higher your crit chance is. The lower your accuracy is, and the more damage you take. So, just as an example, I'm just gonna run out here and show this off real quick. We're gonna show off having 97 risk. Every bat we've swung on previously has been 100% chance to hit, right? Or at least very high percent chance to hit. We now have a 14% chance to hit this bat. We'll swing at him. Miss. He did 40 damage. He did 14 damage the last time he hit us. So having extremely high risk can mean that you will blow something the fuck up. But it can also mean that you will get blown the fuck up. This is also a great time for us to show something off, though. In that, previously, we got the heal spell. So, if we use it now, we will heal 89 HP. And then I'm gonna do something real quick. So we learn the heal spell. So 89, 88. I'm going to burn some items just for the sake of tutorial moment. We're gonna do that, and then our heal only heals for 75. So just like increasing our damage with higher risk, right? Magic is also going to be improved. I think specifically heal is going to heal you for more if you have higher risk. So again, very, very risk versus reward. Most of the kind of like conceptual way to play is you saw that once we hit 8, the amount of risk we started generating, once we hit 8 chains, the amount of risk we started generating was astronomical, and we went from 2 and 1 per chain to like 10 and 20 per chain. You will fill up your bar very, very quickly. Most people, the concept is you chain up to around 8, you know? Chain to 8, stop. But you don't have to do that. You absolutely can play this game by trying to push yourself to the edge. There will be consequences. So, we're gonna do something else here. You know what else we'll do? Quick. We'll use, it's not gonna affect him, but we'll go ahead and use Degenerate. So it's in our spell list rather than our item list. Because now that we've used it, boom. $15 is about where I always end up fucking up. I'm not especially good at this. Every fucking time. Yeah, didn't quite make it there. So we're doing this for a reason. And that's gonna take us a second. Not a good set. If I could just get into like the 20s, this would be way faster. God, I'm terrible. Okay, you don't have to be good at this to win this game. It helps sometimes, but it helps a lot if you're not as bad as I am. Right at that mark every time. Lose my mind here. Ooh, a crit! Of course I fuck it up. Hey! That's okay. Mission accomplished. You can actually kill the training dummies. So that is something to know. You can actually kill the training dummies. I think they have 999 HP, something like that. Obviously, once you are stronger, it's somewhat easier, or once you have more options, it's somewhat easier. I think they always generally take, like, very low damage, because I think their defenses are very, very high. But you can actually kill the training dummies. They do give you loot that doesn't really matter. And we killed something, so we'll get our next chain ability. So there's that. We will take Dulling Impact, because I actually like using that on some things. But we also have leveled up quite a bit on our human, situation, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. I wonder, you know what? Let's test Dessert. I think Dessert was the person who asked about, like, is it Dark Souls-esque? I don't think it is. I don't think things just respawn if you save. But we'll test for one. You can respawn the training dummies by basically leaving the area. And by the area, I don't mean the room, I mean the area. So anyways, that is kind of a very quick concept of what's going on with, the gear, right? And with chain abilities and how that shit works and managing your risk. And we've talked a little bit about, like, how defenses work, and a little bit about the concept of, like, the things that affect your offense, like classes, affinities, types, etc., your strength, obviously. We talked a little bit about, like, damage types and some status effects and things like that. There is documentation. So there's a quick manual that will discuss a lot of these things in length. And then at the bottom there is a very quick, like, here's the most important shit. Okay? So pretty interesting stuff. If you are lost, read through the manual, but unfortunately the manual is not going to give you as much information as it probably otherwise should. So part of it is just you just gotta deal. Kill that bat. Kill this bat. And I think with that, we've kind of touched at least on most of the core stuff. Most of the core stuff, outside of, like, we have magic now, but we really haven't, like, delved into the magic, especially, like, how magic is going to be useful for buffing and debuffing. But we'll get there. And then there's some, like, other cool shit that we have not yet unlocked. But we are making progress on that as well. Oh, why am I not? Well, now they... I wasn't chaining. If something's gonna die, by the way, while you're chaining, the chain will just cancel. It's just like, okay, it's dead now. You can't just keep beating it, even though, you know, even though you may want to. So you can see right there, right? Like, that bat was ready to attack us, but it didn't get the chance to until we landed, until we hit the ground. Not always useful, but sometimes useful situation of being able to basically just get away from hits by jumping. You will see often I will, at the start of a boss, I'll like run and jump at them. Well, that's crit. I forget, do you get progress? I don't know. I don't think you get so you can see we're basically one-shotting, like all the bats we one-shot, right? Even if we hit the chain, it doesn't count unless the chain actually goes off, right? So you can't just farm things that you're gonna one-shot for chain abilities. You have to actually be chaining successfully. So, see, he died. So, we did 2 chains, but we only got credit for one of them because that one was the one that landed. So that's something to keep in mind. Hey! And chaining, like unlocking battle abilities, you unlock chain abilities and defense abilities from the same mechanism. So there's no need to like try to train up your defensive abilities. Just learn a defense ability if you want to learn it. I do actually, that might be something of note to point out. How I was talking about the whole one-shot mechanics, about you don't get... fucking gust. You don't get credit, right? For the chain, but... you also don't pay the price for the chain. So there's no reason not to. Just like if you're worried about like, oh well, I'm not gonna, if I'm one-shotting something, I'm not gonna get anything out of it. So there's no reason for me to do it. It's good practice. It's good habit. Which I clearly need. Oh, can we get the? I hope we can. So we're in here. We're in the floating, space room. There's a wolf over there. The motherfuckers will ride shit over to you. It's wild. I love it. Alright, let's get on out of here. So stepping on that gust really doesn't matter because there's a heal here, right? So we can just trigger that twice. Back to full. All good. Easy peasy. We come over here. We use our chamomile sigil. I think all the sigils immediately turn to dust, so all keys are basically like one use. I beg of ye, stop the pain. Oh, what is that? That, dear friends, is the soul leaving a body. Is this some magic or merely the power of Leamonde? Welcome to Leamonde! Okay, so let's kill this man. Oh. Died anyways. I only need one more hit. Damn it. We get the rapier! So, I talked about typing previously. The rapier is going to be our piercing weapon for now, right? So Tovarish is edged, Fandango is edged. Seventh Heaven is piercing, but it's a bowgun or a crossbow, right? The rapier is a piercing one-handed weapon and can be actually quite useful until we get a better piercing weapon. So, rapier will actually see some usage. Yaiku. This too part of your game, Sydney? Right, so we can see a number of little buddies. That guy's very aggro. We can also see we weren't doing very much damage. I wonder if we... So this is the problem is actually I get... No, I haven't got it yet. The next one. Yeah. So swapping out weapons is kind of a pain in the ass. Ah, curable. I was wondering if we were gonna get his weapon. You know what? We'll stay on the rapier and try to build up its phantom points. Decent. Hey! And we finally get Instill. So, Instill is very useful. It's one of the things that I wanted to rush. Because it makes getting your phantom points up on a new weapon way, way easier. Your phantom points, not to be ignored. They are vital in your capabilities. So we're gonna actually go ahead and put Instill over on that instead of Gain Life. Gain Life is useful, don't get me wrong, but you have other ways of gaining life, namely healing. But now I gotta do the 2 drags combo. That's gonna take some getting used to. That's okay. We'll get there. More cure roots. Lots of cure roots. How much... How much PP? So we're already all we started at 0 fighting these 3 things. We're already almost at 90. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay, we got that faster than I thought we would. So another thing that the game adds. I think this might be the last real thing that the game adds. Is break arts. So every weapon type, swords, what is it? Swords, axes, maces, daggers, crossbows, staves, two-handed swords, I think is one. Two-handed axes. I don't know. There's a bunch. All of them have 4 break arts. Break arts are learned by getting a number of kills with a specific weapon type, right? So once you have, so we can see right now we have next 85 for a sword. So if we kill 85 more things with the sword, it doesn't have to be a specific sword, but just the sword weapon type, we will unlock the next break art. What is a break art? Break art is basically like a special move, right? So we have our chain abilities, our little combos, but the break arts are like bigger, riskier things, because break arts cost HP, and the bigger break arts cost more HP. So, the first one we get with the sword, Rending Gale, launches a sonic wave to shred foe to pieces. Affinity as weapon, so it means whatever your weapon's affinity is. So most weapons are going to be physical, right? And then type, piercing. So paying attention to what that is can be very important. Let's see this. Rending Gale. Pretty cool. So first one you get, not super flashy, but still pretty neat. And it has a little bit of range. It does hurt you to use, obviously, but having the right break art against the right enemy can be pretty damn useful at the right time. Higher level break arts have higher level multipliers, and some of them hit multiple times. Some of them have special effects on them. Like the two-handed axe one of the two-handed axe ones I think is particularly useful because it curses, and curses like a big stat debuff. Very, very strong. Okay! Dullahan. Motherfucker. Alright. Real quick. My little demon. My little demon is awake again. So I need to get him a snack real quick. So I'm gonna leave us on this wonderful Will you calm down? Will you calm down? I'm scared. Okay, I pulled the volume down. Wait a momento. I'm gonna get him some food, and then we will come back and we'll do some experimenting with this boss. Kirby. hearing him screaming. He do be screaming. Be a bit of a screamer. Alright, so we're gonna noodle around a bit, so I'm gonna try to show off some of the stuff that happens in the game. The boss music is very loud. So this might be dangerous. We have no weapon out, do 59. Okay? We have a weapon and shield out, 55. Okay, so before we get our ass kicked here, we are going to use Degenerate on him. Not every boss is going to be able to be afflicted by everything, but some of them will. So we hit him with Strength down, right? And he suddenly does 41. That's a decent chunk down, right? I'm going to go ahead and heal myself because I took a beating for no reason. Okay, so we can see 36, 28, 48, but lower chance to hit, right? 28, right? We got a little bit of a damage spread going on here. Oh, I got another kitty trying to get down. Ah! Okay. You're not going to be allowed to get up there if that's how you're going to get down in the future. He's like, the fuck I won't. Sir, thank you for very lackadaisically taking your time. So we're going to go ahead and hit this guy. We're not going to do any chains. Okay. Whatever. Okay, he heals a little bit. All good. We are going to swap weapons over to the Fandango. And you can see, right, the Fandango, we don't have a big difference in risk, right? I think the Fandango, let's see, yeah, the Fandango is at full PP, right? The Rapier isn't even at full Phantom points, but the difference is obviously there's some class issues with the Fandango being -3 right now, and the Rapier being 0 for undead. I think he's undead. But the bigger thing is going to be probably the edged versus piercing scenario. Or probably no, it's physical 17 versus physical 7. So probably the edged versus piercing. So anyways, if you're fighting in this game and you run into an enemy that's like, oh, I suddenly don't do any fucking damage to this enemy, and you're using like an edged weapon, swap to a piercing weapon or swap to a blunt weapon and see if that changes things, you know? So, back to our rapier. Alright, and let's actually start swinging on him before he fucks us up. Really doesn't take very long to kill. I did want to note, you saw that miss while I was doing chain abilities, right? That miss isn't because hit percentage generally is just for your first hit. That's, I think, is how it works. But once you start chaining, different enemies, stronger enemies mostly, have chain avoidance. So there are certain enemies that are specifically designed in the game to not be chained, basically. Let's see what we... Drink plus 2. That's not great, but pretty okay. That's, that's moving us in the right direction, at least. Elixir of Queens. So, other things you will get throughout the game is you'll get stat ups. So, HP up, MP up, and then we get Grimoire Lux, which is our first actual attack spell. So, light damage to an enemy. Very cool. Very cool! So we can go ahead and use our Elixir of Queens and Mages. There's not really a reason not to use your stat up items. You can, if you're wanting to save scum it, obviously you can wait until you're at a save point, and then because the stat up items are just like the roulette after a boss, you have a chance to get an amount. So if you really want to like get the maximum out of it, you can do that. Perfectly fine. Not a big deal. I got a snack while I was away. The hibiscus tea was getting a snack, so I was like, I maybe need a snack as well. Got stuff on your face. Where are you going? Why do you want to be on me, but not in my lap? He wants to be on my chest and neck. The Mappa has taught him bad habits. With love. So, we have a new weapon in this chest. The Rusty Nail, which is a cool weapon. We'll look at it. And we get our first gem. So that's really fucking neat. Increases the success rate of non-magical attacks by 20%. Must be equipped in a weapon. So no throwing this into that, the Pelta. So taking a look at... He's rolling. He's rolling on me. Ow! 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 You little shit! Putting his nails in my chest. So taking a look at the Rusty Nail, right? We can see one of the obvious differences is that its range is 5 versus a range of 3. So it's a spear. It's a two-handed weapon. It's got more range, which can be very useful, getting to an enemy before they get to you, kiting enemies, etc., etc. But as a two-handed weapon, that does mean you are losing your shield, which is a pretty big hit to your defensive capabilities. Or, as you can see, the Fandango being 10 strength versus 12 strength on the Rusty Nail, not that big of a difference in damage capability, right? So we get 2 points on strength there. And we'd lose 3 points on agility for the concept of losing 6 defense on strength and 6 defense on intelligence, as well as the defensive bonuses we get from typing and affinity, right? and that is a very big deal, right? So unfortunately, the if you like two-handers, cool, that's great. You can use two-handers, absolutely. But the defense added from a two-hander generally is nowhere near the offense added from a two-hander is generally nowhere near the defense added from a shield. You are being an invasive little shit. Go play. Go play. Go play. That being said, we will still throw the bastard on just a noodle. This is cool. Look at that. You know, we never put the Tovarish on. I actually really like the look of the Tovarish. It's just, I think the Fandango comes out as at a better weapon initially. I guess the Fandango has a little bit more strength on it. The rusty nail on. If this game had like a remake or a remaster, one of the biggest things would just be quality of life in weapon swapping, right? So, a little bit of a boost in range. It's kind of hard to see, right? How big of a difference a two-handed like spear or something like that is compared to just like a one-handed sword, but it is a pretty big difference. You can typically, like, if an enemy is charging you and you're trying to kite it, you can typically get quite a bit more going if you're kiting with a two weapon. So that is something to keep in mind. We're not going to worry about it right now. Go back to our Fandango rapier situation. Put our Pelta shield back on. Oh, I say the Fandango. Actually, I mean the rapier. Fandango is at full Phantom. Well, full-ish. Oh, I guess the rapier is at full Phantom. I think we're gonna be fighting more. It doesn't really matter, but I think we're gonna be fighting more undead here in a second. Huh? He likes the colors. Know what he likes. So, this is the annoying thing about your storage. Doing things individually, the UI is kind of a pain in the ass, and it's basically going to make you confirm and save every time you interact with the storage, which is a pain in the ass. So we just stored some stuff. So we leave. If you do not save, that storage was just canceled. So you have to save every time you do put anything in or out of storage. Otherwise, the game's like, no, fuck you. Okay. 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, started at 7. What? Okay. We're gonna kill this, and then we're gonna take a look at that motherfucker right there. Look at this! It's a different doggy. This doggy's eyes are Stitch, and it has some really suspiciously bad-looking stuff floating around its neck. So new enemy, who dis? I just saved. Okay. Are you not gonna do your thing? Might not do his thing. Maybe this one doesn't do it. Well, I was trying to see if that dog had the flame breath, because I think that's a hellhound. Actually, you know what? We can check and see if that is the right dog. So other menus, things that we haven't really interacted with yet. Is there's a dates? No. Score? Ah, yeah, it's in the score. So there's an in the score menu. There's a couple of different things, but there's an encyclopedia. So you can actually come in here and you can look at the models, right? Which is cool. After you get a specific spell, I'm pretty sure this is where the stats, you get an analysis spell. So after you analyze an enemy, this is where you can check their stats. So that's kind of cool. See bosses. Where is... Ah, it is the Hellhound. So, let's see this motherfucker. I was pretty sure these guys have a flame attack. I was trying to show it off. But I guess we'll see it if we see it. Okay, Mappa? She's not okay. Okay, so this is a fun guy. This is a Slurm. You can see we do 32 damage there. He's about to spit at us. So the Dullahan is one of those first enemies that you kind of run across that is actually like a, oh, I need a different weapon to do damage to this, right? Didn't get it. The slime is another example of that, because you can see we do 4 damage with our edged sword, which is absolutely terrible. I also think, though, that this guy might be okay. Yes! So, much like slimes in many other games, they tend to be extremely magic. So, we'll fire off our first Spirit Surge at this motherfucker. It's kind of nice just taking breaks in this game. You can see our mana just ticking back up, our HP just slowly ticking back up. Really good. So that was another example there of some of the stuff that the game will throw at you, right? Enemy types that you really need to be exploiting some sort of weakness to be able to do damage. You could, if you just have the Fandango and you're like, I don't want to swap a weapon, or you can wail on that slime for a really long time before you actually kill it. And then you saw the pile of bones. Obviously super suspicious, but there will be rooms where there are enemies that are gonna spawn or wake up or whatever. And sometimes they're hidden behind things, and it can be very important to kind of like maneuver around and try to see what's going on and not get frozen. Tiny Hibisky.
Tiny.
Huh?
Tiny.
He can't be a tiny biscuit?
Oh.
We have a tiny baby. He can't be a tiny biscuit?
What tiny?
Only one tiny? But he's the tiniest of the tinies right now.
Baby.
I guess that's fair. I finally remembered to replace the layout with the Guildenstern variant. But, I still have the Rosencrantz one. So we can flip. We can be like, oh, it's Rosencrantz time. Oh, it's Guildenstern time. You know? Really, it's the Sydney and Ashley show. Everyone else is secondary, at best. Okie dokie! We don't want to use magic every single time, so we're going to swap over to the rapier. Deal with these slimes. Pretty easy. Got a little bone boy. So, this is our first room with kind of a interesting little secrets. And it's not super secret because you can see it like the little point of entry on the map. But over here, there's a way to go. And there just so happen to be some boxes here. We will bring a box over. And go up into the little secret hidey hole. Oh, that's pretty low. Good chance. Alright, body time. You know what, actually, can I... Oh, well... I could, but it'll take a while. Kill him. So you can see, we did not do very much damage to that guy. Main ability, Raging Ache. So Raging Ache, I talked earlier about, I've been talking about how the damage calculations are this and that, and how you really need to like understand a couple of mechanics to be able to maximize your damage and be able to actually get through the defense of some enemies. And then very briefly, I talked about how there are a few things to get kind of like around that. Raging Ache is one of the ways to kind of like get around that. Inflicts an amount of additional damage equal to 10% of the damage Ashley has sustained. So this is kind of like your low life build. You can run up in a scenario where you take a little bit of damage, take a lot of bit of damage, and then just start chaining on a fool. And even if they have crazy high defense, if you are chaining consistently, then Raging Ache is going to dish out a lot of damage. So it's pretty strong. So we're gonna pick it up. We're not gonna default to using it, but we are gonna pick it up as a kind of like a backup situation if we ever run into a scenario where we're like, oh, what the fuck? So here is another interesting situation. The ground is too high for us to put this box on. But as we've experienced in the past, we can't pick up a box below us, except that's not true. Kinda. You can pick up a box that is just a little lower than you. But you can't pick up a box that is a full level lower than you. So, just little noodles with elevation there. So, really fun, interesting thing that we get here. Pink Squirrel. It is an iron mace. It's basically a pink baseball bat. And it's going to be our blunt weapon, because so we have an edge weapon now. We got a piercing weapon with the rapier. The Pink Squirrel is going to be our blunt weapon. We also get a crossguard, which is cool. Crossguards, grips for daggers, swords, and great swords. Get a new leather cuirass, some boots, and a new gem, the Iacus. Slightly increases power against undead, which is cool. So we're slowly kind of starting to accrue a little bit of an arsenal. Take a look at some of these pieces here. So first up we have the Pink Squirrel. I love that it's a goblin club. We can see the stats on it, not that drastically different from the Fandango. Right, one more point in strength, but everything else pretty much the same. Class and affinity type, not really mattering too terribly much. Mostly just the fact that it is a blunt weapon. I wonder, I can't remember. Yeah, it doesn't have a slot for a gem. That's the reason why we're keeping the Rusty Nail around, by the way. You saw we put up the Tovarish. We're keeping the Seventh Heaven around because it's got really big range. We're keeping the Rusty Nail around because it's the only weapon we have with a gem slot, which might be useful here in the near future. And yeah, oh, speaking of gems, yeah, we got an Iacus. So, slightly increases power against the undead. You can see, right, in the class section, the Iacus has 15 undead affinity. So if you put that on a weapon, that's immediately going to give it 15 undead affinity, which is going to increase the damage against the undead. But also, if you put it on a shield, it's going to make you take less damage from undead. That's super fucking cool. Really neat. It also, you can see it has a bonus to strength, intelligence, and agility, which are all also quite good. Same thing for the Braveheart. Braveheart having just kind of like a generic little boost across the board in class and affinity. It's really there for the increased hit chance. You little shit. So help me God. Hibiscus tea? Would you leave people alone? Tiny baby is laying on my computer. Even after I put the phone there to try to keep doing that. He don't care. But he's laying up there, and Hibiscus has decided he wants up there too. He's way too fucking small to jump up there. He climbed up the back of the fucking computer, up the goddamn wires coming out of the back of the computer. You are a bad kitten. You are a bad kitten. Come here. Yeah. You're bad. You're bad and you're in trouble. And he's like, fine, I'll climb you. You little shit. You ornery little shit. Don't you do it. But I have a sneaking suspicion. I guess it's not really pink. It would just be. Ow, you fuck! I'm gonna say I have a sneaking suspicion that the club is gonna be really nice against old Bony Boy over here. Yeah, it's pretty okay. Oh, he just cut into my fucking wrist. That was my wrist. Ow. Owie kazowie. Ah, shit. You're not baiting me into that freeze. We do kind of want to probably use the pink swirl a little bit. Oh, its phantom points are already full. Okay, well, cool. Phantom points, all good. He slashed me good. You, ow! Holy shit! He slashed me on multiple wrists. Why are you so mean? Okay. Well, you know. We're gonna try to progress it again. I don't know. It's 10. Okay. Now that decided it. I have a kitten. He will not stop attacking me. We've been streaming. For about 3 hours now. There's a save point right back here. So, we go hit up this save point. That's probably where we will call it. Or this. Stop it! Stop it! Okay. It's I mean, he got me. I mean, it's still a kitten, so it's not like deep. But I mean, he drew blood in 2 places, so I guess I will get slashed, nerd. Goddamn. Okay, so one thing I wanted to check before the end, because I want to try to get in the habit of doing this, is this game has a lot of replayability, right? Because there is New Game Pluses, there's a bunch of New Game Plus content, but there's also things like titles, right? You get titles for doing various things in the game. Some of them are just, beating certain bosses. Some of them are using weapons a certain number of times, getting a number of kills with certain weapons. There's titles for, beating the game in less than 10 hours. So there's a lot of, interesting shit. I think there's titles for, beating the game not using any break arts, not using any chain abilities, not using any magic, right? Etc., etc. There is the Gazette, which tracks, how many times have you beaten the game, what's your fastest time, all the percentage of, what stuff have you found, how much of the map have you covered, what's your highest chain, right? How many enemies have you killed? How many weapons have you used? Right? Really cool shit. And then there's a whole record time scenario that you can take a look at, along with the encyclopedia. So every time we quit, I want to take a quick look at our score. Are we still a normal agent? Kind of what's our Gazette look like? What's our current chest completion, map completion, etc. That's where we're going to end tonight. I know we did a lot of talking about mechanics and things like that. Next time we play will be probably more just progression and less talking. But the next time we play, we'll get to the first workshop. So I say there won't be as much talking, but we'll make a lot of progression until we get to the first workshop. And then there may be less progression. We'll see. So yeah. Anyways, that's it. I say that we won't be able to make too much stuff in the, but we'll noodle around with some things and see if we can. I think we can take we can break down the rapier, make a better weapon out of it. Pretty sure. So anyways, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. I'm really excited to jump into this game. It's an old love, and it's fun to see it in a higher resolution. It's fun to see you know, like better textures and things like that. There's a bunch of other stuff I noodled with, like CRT, like patches and things like that to try to bring it back to that old style. But at the end of the day, I just kind of like it looking more modern. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.